Good evening.
Good evening to all.
We will be starting in the next 5 minutes. And before we start, I would like everyone to turn off the mics.
Good evening.
That's the route.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Good evening, Miss.
Can everyone hear me?
Good evening. I can hear you.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
can.
Okay, we have 46 participants and we will start. Like I said, we will start in 5 minutes. So welcome everyone. This evening, we will be doing our 10th session on financial literacy. Our presenter tonight is Miss Telly. And Telly is a digital financial innovator, economist, serial entrepreneur, and investor. She has been at the forefront of innovation and ecosystem building with a focus on digital and climate financial innovation with over 24 years of experience in the 21st century governance, management, consulting, private sector development. She is a strong advocate for multidimensional transformation for more equitable, inclusive, and resilient economies. She is a serial entrepreneur. She is the founder of Queeness Consulting Inc. and Valerie Capital, and she has designed and led multi-million-dollar projects and implementation teams. She has launched and led a global strategy and management consulting firm since 2000 and has been secured strategic partnership with many international development agencies such as WB, EU, to name a few. Ms. Uno is involved in private banking and private equity, and she is the International Director for Governance and Compliance for the JD Euro Financial Group, a multinational banking group headquartered in Canada. Ms. Uno also manages the H&W Trade Desk and leads on digital transformation for the financial group and the money exchange. Valerie is also the Deep Teach Infrastructure Governance Specialist at Interseller. Ms. Uno is also the head of governance and execution for the Bantu Blockchain Foundation. She is a thought leader, international speaker, and a writer with a passion for realizing the multidimensional impact. In 2020, she was awarded the 100th Women in Finance Chartered Alternative Investment Analyst. With such a diverse background, who is the best person to lead us to this evening's class? I would like everyone to welcome Ms. Uno. Welcome, Telly.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. How are you?
Next election, like double.
Someone has their audio on. Carissa?
Can hear you.
Carissa? Okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me again on this, I would say, fantastic academy. I'm not new to Helen's Daughters, nor am I new to providing financial literacy trainings. This would be, I believe, my fourth, but it's the first time I'm doing St. Lucia. So I'm Telly Valerie Onu. I'm actually from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I do have an African heritage as well. And I live currently in St. Kitts and Nevis. So I've had the opportunity of facilitating for Helen's Daughters for both the St. Vincent and the Grenadines and St. Kitts. So it's a pleasure for me to do St. Lucia. And I know it's a big class, but don't worry. Today, we're really going to take financial literacy and look at it from perhaps a slightly different angle than what you're accustomed to. So first, I know there are lots of us, and you have heard a little bit about me. Don't worry. I just have had the opportunity and experience to not just manage my own business or businesses, but I've also had the opportunity to see many sides of the coin from a financial standpoint. So I know what you're going through. If you already have your own business, farm enterprise going on or agro-processing business, raising funds and managing finances is always a challenge. And especially to us women, it's even more so a challenge. Why? Because we hardly speak about financial literacy. We don't talk about money. We talk about every other thing, but we don't talk about money. But when it comes to men, they tend to talk about money very openly. First, it's a private thing. It's a little bit of a taboo. And unfortunately, it's one of those things that tends to, bite us in the butt. A lot of times when you're going for training, first things first is they want you to look at the numbers and the figures and everything, and that can be a bit daunting. But my focus on at least what I would like to see for the small time that we're going to have together in the 4 sessions is for us to kind of look at financial literacy from a different lens, from a lens of empowering our ability to make financial decisions. Because at the end of the day, you might not necessarily be the one to do all the fanciful spreadsheets and everything. But one thing you do need to know is know your numbers and know and understand and be comfortable with your numbers, because after all, that value that you have delivered, you're getting value in return in the form of money. And that comes into your life to impact your life and impact the growth of your business. So we are not here to put our heads in the sand like ostriches and pretend nothing is happening, because some of us don't like to look at our finances. But you have others who have different habits. So today, I am going to focus more on our money mindset. I will focus also on how our money mindset and also what sort of habits that we have formed do impact our decision making, and provide you with a sort of framework for us to analyze our money mindset so that we can be more conscious to start working on changing and applying and making better decisions. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to financial management, it's all about being able to make certain decisions. Okay. So I know it's a large group, and I normally do a number of different interactive things. So today I'm going to switch it up a little bit, and we're going to have a more peer learning approach to our session today. I want to hear from you as a group. This is a very private space that you've had. This is what, 10 weeks already? So by now we're family. And don't mind me, I'm new coming in, but it is a nice safe space for us to have frank conversations about money, frank conversations about mindsets and habits and how that influences and where these things are coming from. Right? So without further ado, I know it's a lot of us. Randomly, I'm just going to call in a few people randomly, or if you want to suggest, give me a little bit of feedback on exactly, very high level, because in the interest of time, I'll probably take about six people. I just so that I can get a feel for your enterprise. What enterprise you're in, whether you are planning to, or whether you already have this enterprise. And when I talk about enterprise, I mean, right now we're looking at business, at your farm as a business. So whether it is you're doing commodities or whether it is you're doing agro processing or both, I need to just give me a little understanding, and then tell me in your own words what your key challenges are when it comes to financial management, financial literacy. Okay, I see Lucia McDonald. Tell me.
Okay. Hello, everybody hearing me?
We can hear you, Lucia. Go ahead.
Miss, well, my dad has a farm and he plants natural things like pumpkin, banana. So I was thinking like since the children, my target was the children, since the children in my community like to eat a lot of junks, why don't I try to open a little business where I sell like pumpkin punch, um, pumpkin smoothies instead of they go and buy all the sweet sugary things. And doing this, I realized that my major challenge in terms of marketing myself in the community is like the culture. They look at you like, who are you? Why should I buy from you? Like in terms of the body language, I'm getting that. And another thing is because I am young and I'm the peak of building my career, finances can be a challenge for me. Now I don't know how to build these finances. And hold on a second.
Go ahead.
Sorry, Miss, I had to do something. As if it's like I do not know where to go because I tried different methods of advertising, trying to sell the products, and it's as if I am just stumbled on just having the products there and not marketing them.
Okay.
So
Okay,
I
thank you.
okay.
Have you participated in any of the Helen's Daughters open day and food fairs
No,
and
no.
farmer markets? Maybe that's one avenue that you should participate in. Make sure you get in touch with information when they have the next one. And for the most part, I think what you're saying is maybe part and parcel of maybe how you can package and present. I know immediately after our session, you'll be doing nutritional marketing and looking at those aspects. So, and one of the things I heard you say it's quite critical is that you're looking at more healthy focus. So in that module, the focus would be on packaging and presenting, but from the financial standpoint, maybe we could see how best we can help you with understanding how to build out your or link your business model, because I know you would have done that already, with the how to do projections for revenue and how to specifically target. Because I know how it is. Some people think, well, who would she be? She's there. What does she think she is? So go into another parish. It doesn't have to be your parish, but you have to know how to specifically target and so on. So we can talk about options for increasing your revenue. I'm seeing the chat. Let's see what's in the chat. Okay, Latonia, you're on. You can switch on your mic.
Yes, mommy.
Okay, Lucia, you can, who's next?
I'm not Tanya, but I cannot stay right now. I have to go down to the clinic to get my injections and come back.
Okay.
Yeah.
No problem. Anyone else want to share? Roxanne Maturin, you're on. Hi, Roxanne, welcome. You can unmute your mic, Roxanne.
Yes, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Roxanne.
Well, I could share this. Good evening to you, Miss Onu.
Yes, or you could call me Telly or Valerie, either one.
Or Telly. Okay, all right. Well, Miss Telly. All right. Well, the name of my business is Vegan Avenue. Well, it's a agro processing business.
Mhm.
I hope to own a farm someday as well. Well, yeah, to grow crops and stuff for business and also to provide to at Helen doctors. Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay.
you haven't done it yet. This is something you're
The
planning to.
farming part, not as yet. We're working on it.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
And I could say finances have been a very great part of it. I mean, I won't say I don't save, but with I could say the COVID, it really hit us down. It gave a lot of us a blow as business owners. Yeah. Management has been key for me, but the area where I could share the same sentiments as Lucia. Yeah. We have the products. Our product line is great. That being, we sell CMOS,
Okay.
what we call CMOS kombucha. I started with CMOS infused drinks first, and then we diversified after that. And we also do meals, eats and treats. I mean, what we bring to Helen's Daughters, the farmers market, we bring eats and treats. It sells very well, but I could say also like Luvia, what else can we do? Because we're pretty much a home-based business for now, so not much is being generated as we would hope.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's a
Go ahead.
see in between. Well, it feels stagnant in between. There's like what to do, where to turn, how to go, So it's basically what would be the best income.
Okay, so it's optimizing income.
People, of course, would take more finance, and we not all that there as yet. So just how to navigate with, and what options do we have, And I would say financial literacy is a great topic, and I would love to learn more about. Well, what else is that I have not picked up on that we can use? Yeah.
Okay, this is insightful. So again, you're sounding that you're looking at how to optimize the income that you're generating in order to raise more. Okay, noted. Anybody else?
And also one more thing to to be able to pay yourself a salary, how we go about it.
How to pay yourself. Okay, perfect. Anybody else? Let me see. If I don't see hands, I'll randomly start calling, Oh, look, Leah Yard. I love that name. Hi, Leah.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and
Telly.
one of your key challenges.
Okay, my business is agro processing. I do sweet treats from our fruits, but I'm doing it with a twist, not the same thing. I try to be unique. One of my major problems is, well, everybody has a financial problem.
Everybody.
Okay, I'm at the stage where I would love to be export ready, which I'm getting closer and closer. So what I'm working towards is a place of processing byproducts.
Hi, Nikita. Could you mute your mic, please? Thank you. Go ahead.
Oh, a place of production, sorry, because there are standards that you need to meet. And I'm still working from home. So this is my aim, and this is what I'm facing. But I have been working hard towards it, and slowly but surely I'm getting there. So I'm hoping by the end of the year that everything that I've set or the goals that I've set to be export ready will pull through. But financial problem is one of the main things that each and every one of us go through.
Okay.
So I'm at that stage also.
Have you been working with exports in Lucia?
Not with exports in Lucia, but I've been working alongside Sado.
Okay, with Barbara?
And Thomas. Yes. So I have I have a team which educates us because they have different workshops that one can attend. So I've been attending quite a few. The last one I did was with the UN Women with Miss Ikuna Ishiwaka.
Wow, nice name.
Yes, so I have been trying.
Okay.
Thanks for liking the
Okay,
window.
so we have someone who, so this, I like the variety. We have someone that has a farm, a parent farm, wants to optimize that. Another one agro-processing, two in agro-processing, one wants to be export ready. So as you can see, doesn't really matter what level you're at. We all have challenges and we have to just look at how best we can address finance within your context. So within the context of export readiness, I will be sharing a few tips in terms of similar to the last request in terms of ways and means of how to optimize your incomes. We can look at some revenue strategies very practically. Okay, anyone else? Who else? The objective of this is for me to ensure that the time we have in our sessions, you get the most out of it. And we're not just here for me to go through random slides and you weren't able to benefit from it. So I can apply certain things and focus on certain elements in order for you at least to provide that tool to help you move on to the next stage. Who else wants to volunteer? Okay. Roycelyn? Oh, Nikita, let's do Nikita.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about the noise earlier.
That's okay. It happens.
There was, I think it was Roxanne who said, somebody said they diversified and they do different products. I don't have a business per se. I joined the course to learn about farming. But sometimes you see businesses making 15, 20 different products. So how do you know when to stop? You know, like, is it wise to have, let's say, 40 things that you're making, or maybe just 4 things that you do very, very well and you focus on marketing and so on? So that's my question. Sometimes you think that if you take on more, you will make more, and then that's not always the case. So I would love to know how you determine that.
Okay. That's an excellent question. And you know something, as entrepreneurs ourselves, once we start getting into the products, and a lot of us do products because we love them, we tend to lose sight and focus on the, should I say, having your product fit the market. So the focus becomes, oh, I love this, I just tried this, I love to do this. So I have a number of, I would say, mentees that I mentor who are agro-processors and women. And they suffer from the same thing because they love production, they like to create new things, which is part and parcel of the process of innovation. You have to develop new items, test it, and so on. But sometimes you can have a crisis where you're just creating a whole bunch of products, but you're not collecting data or observing the market to see what is actually selling. And a lot of times, maybe in the beginning, it might be necessary because you don't know which product actually fits the market just yet. You're doing trial and error. But while you're doing that, the most important thing is to be observing exactly who is using the product, at what time, at what price, if you change the price, this and that. So you have to keep checking and testing the market and understanding your client profiles so that the information you're getting back to, okay, this product normally sells at this time, or this product is normally utilized in this time of the year, and this is the information, would then allow you to now reference it back with your sales records. Now we're back to record keeping. And if you're not organized, how are you going to know what is selling and what is not, and what information is getting in? So there are certain tools, even if you're a pen and paper person, you can use a nice journal, and just make notes. As an entrepreneur, you have to not only be in your business, working on the business, but you have to be very savvy with data. And I know you were talking about in your last session on food safety, and I'm sure you know all these standards. It's all about record keeping. It's no different. And this is why there are ways that you can find a way, because sometimes when you're selling, you might not necessarily have the time to document. In some cases, I've had some clients where they involve their family members, some of their children, and might have their children, make notes of the sales records if you're not automated. We live in an age now where most of us, if not all, the fact that you're on Zoom tells me that you probably have most likely a mobile phone. And if you have a mobile phone, most likely it might even be a smartphone. Or even if you don't have a smartphone, the fact that you can join Zoom means that you have an email address, and there's a possibility for you to join any one of the free services. So some of the things I'll be talking about are some simple tools that you can use, digital tools, to help you with a lot of the back office administrative information. And even if we're not looking at only financial records alone, because believe it or not, as we're in this conversation now, if you notice, we've gone into marketing, we've gone into optimizing revenue. It's all interlinked, because when we're looking at our financial records, it's record keeping. Finance tells a story, and finance gives you that data point so that you can know exactly what is selling and when. I have told, you might probably meet, I'm inviting one of the entrepreneurs from St. Kitts to kind of present in our next session. I just have to get confirmation that she's available, because she can share from a very practical sense. Now, she might have a bunch of products, and I would have asked her, I said, okay, after the year, the whole year, can you tell me, where are your sales coming from? Your top 5 products, where is the sales coming from? And she can pinpoint 3. Let's look at those records. Exactly how much did you do on these, and how frequently she checked it? So the thing about it is, the product that she really, really loves is not the product that's selling. So I said, sometimes you have to remember who the customer is. It's not you. And so while you might love a particular product, your market might not necessarily like that particular product. So especially in agro-processing, you have to be careful, because what happens, you start allocating resources, scarce resources, mind you, to producing these additional treats that really and truly, they sell, yes. But when you start comparing the data and you realize there's one particular treat that always sells out, as a matter of fact, you can never get enough. So our financial records give us data points that help us with decision making. And this is the point I want to get at, because a lot of times when people tell me about finances, they don't want to hear it. It's like we women, we just shut down. It's like technology. We just shut down because for whatever reason, the way we have experienced money, the way we experience our different money stories, it comes out of either scarcity or out of some sort of trauma. So whenever we think about finances, it's just too complex. So we start breaking it down brass tacks before we build back up to the point where you can now start reading the information and be very comfortable with it and not feel intimidated. Anybody else? So Nikita said data collection. Let's get someone else. Joanna? Joanna, is it Moisey? I hope I called that name correct. Moisey or Moisey? How do I pronounce your name? Joanna, are you with us? Okay, next, Jacqueline. Jacqueline Simon.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Yes, I got cut off a while ago, so I'm not too sure what exactly you want us to discuss.
I want to know a little bit about your business, your enterprise, or if you're planning to, what it is, what your motivation is, and what is your biggest challenge, and how might that challenge be related to either financial management, financial literacy, or finances.
Okay, the name of my business is Tipache. It has a Creole name, Tipache. It has a Creole name. Actually, it means little packet or little parcel. So I do agro processing. I produce tamarind balls, guava cheese, fudges, jams, and the likes. And yes, my challenge, my financial challenge is that I do not have an accounting background. So it's kind of difficult for me to actually set up a database of my finances. So what I do, I do a lot of writing. For example, if I have a pop-up market, I take records of my sales.
Very good.
I take record of how many items I brought to the market, how many items I sold, and the prices. So so before I go back into production, I always look at my sales to see which product I should focus on more, which one I need to put off, and so on. That's what I do. So it's just pen and paper for me. But in terms of separating my finances, to say like separation of my finances, like this money, this is the sales for tamarind balls, and these are the profits for the tamarind balls. It's kind of difficult because what I do, I have all the finances I use to buy the raw materials. They come from the business itself. I do not put in any money of my own to purchase raw materials. I'm at that point.
Okay, very good.
Yes. However, it's kind of difficult for me to say exactly how much money I spent buying raw materials for this particular product.
Okay, so
yes.
database management.
So it's kind of difficult for me to actually know how much profit I actually made on each product.
On each product.
Yes.
Knowing the profit. Okay. Awesome. So yes, manual records are good, but sometimes when you need to start identifying and collating, it becomes a challenge. And this is where perhaps it's time to upgrade a bit. The good news is it doesn't have to be an expensive software. They have tools that can help you at least capture some basic data that even are very, very low cost or even free for you to start with. So in one of our sessions, I will actually share a few tidbits on some of these digital tools that can help you automate a bit. Also, how to make a decision to identify a tool that you can use as well. That's quite insightful. So this is key. Let's see. The other thing too about separation, it's sometimes it's a challenge to separate between the business and the and your private thing. The fact of the matter that you have been disciplined enough to at least buy and do everything from the business, it's important. But do you have like a separate account?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So for you is visibility, and again, we're talking about data. Roxanne says she also keeps a notebook. Great. Notebooks are great, but the big challenge is sometimes when do you have time to now get from your notebook and even put it in even an Excel? Sometimes it could be challenging. So, okay. Good to
But
note.
to put it in I also have an Excel, and I do cash flow projections. I just have not updated them as of yet, but I have to do it soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. I'll be sharing with you also another tool to help you with linking your, well, it's a business model canvas, but in it, we can look at your, what we call unit economics, meaning the exact unit of how you make money, the revenue, etc., so that you can see how you can also optimize on your revenue model. So we will be looking at revenue model innovation. And we'll also look at, as I said, data capture tools, so you can have insight. And I will also be sharing with you a number of different indicators that you can use to manage cash flow, because again, what you're saying, knowing how the funds are flowing is critical, so you know how to manage your cash flow. And there's also, I will share with you a spreadsheet that you can use, a simple spreadsheet that you could probably use on a daily basis to manage cash flow, especially if, as we had a conversation earlier, obviously COVID took a really big hit on a lot of people, and even now, there's still globally, you still have other type of crisis happening. So there might be some times that you have to tighten your belt, and understanding the cash flow is going to be very critical. So I'll be spending a bit more time talking about cash flow, making sure you understand how to, and providing you with some tools on how to measure your cash flow. Optimize cash flow and how to manage cash flow both ways. Anybody else want to share? Or do these scenarios capture everybody? Anyone has something different in terms of a challenge?
Well, I don't have a challenge. May I say something, please?
Yes, Leah.
Okay. About what the young lady asked you earlier, how does she differentiate her products as to which ones? From my experience, I did the same thing. I had more than one. I still have more than one, but like you said earlier, it because agro-processing, it tells you what products that you use and how often you get them and when they're going to be scarce and whatnot.
Yeah,
so I try to
supply chain.
Right. So I tried to find my star product, whether or not it's the one that I love the most or love doing. It wasn't the star for me, but the one that the customers gravitated towards, this is the one that became my star product.
Yeah.
So this is the one that I've been pushing and making sure that that I have enough, because it's always not enough. So therefore, when there is, I find out which months that it will not be available. So I stock up.
Okay.
And the months that which is on demand. So I stock up. So people are like the young lady that does tamarind balls and these things, you know that Creole month is the month that a lot of people come and look out for the Creole treats. This is the time you need to stock up in advance. That's just my piece that I want to add. Okay.
Very good, Leah. Thank you. Anybody else? Don't be shy.
Good evening.
Good evening, Andrina. Tell
Yeah.
us.
Yeah. I've been listening to you, have given some very, very valuable information. As to something you said that captured my attention. Anyway, for starters, I am in agro-processing. I started, like, for example, I started my catering and cooking. That's my job as a chef. But when I see a number of things that I have left over and they're spoiling, I decide to make a business out of it. So I dehydrate a lot of breadfruit and provisions, so to speak.
Yes.
The fruits as well, make some candies, etc. And you said something like we have to capture what's going very
What's
fast.
happening, yes.
Which is very important. And I have a serious issue with the not issue, but the breadfruit, because I just started.
So is it that it's scarce?
It was, well, it's a seasonal produce. So right now I just decide, I mean, it's going very, very fast. And I also make the waffles with them and pancakes and flatbread. So it goes very fast. I have a high demand for it. So what you just said is very important, because now I realize, well, I never really missed out on it because I find it wherever it is. So I also,
okay.
Yeah, so I never missed out on it. But it just make me realize that I have to stock up as much as I can, even though I don't put them into the flour as yet, but have them there, which I have been doing for the past 2 weeks, because when it will be out of season, I need to have enough, because there's a very high demand for it.
Right.
Also, the recording is not, I still have a lot to work on that, because sometimes I write it down on a notepad.
And a notepad, yeah.
And later I say I'll put it in, and the day pass, the week pass, the month pass, I don't do nothing. Yeah. But
this is my issue when it comes to writing. I'm not against writing, but because it's just human nature, we get busy, life happens. And you get, after a while, you miss the days, you haven't inputted it, and there you go. You're behind again, you know?
But it was a good thing. I always I go back in a big book I have, I put everything there, and I find, like, from October, when I started the farmers market and during the daily like call orders and stuff like that, I find quite a lot of information I had there because I jot them down. But now I need them. I had to go back and look for them because I needed them. I was requested to have them, so I had, and a good thing I did that. Now I can make I could have given a statement from October to now.
Oh, very good.
Yeah,
that's a milestone achievement.
Well, it was a lot of work to go back in all those things, but I get them. So, that was great. So now for now I have a little book, especially for the farmers market alone.
Yeah.
So anything I need from there, I know where to get it, and so I'm trying to. But it's a challenge for now for me. But now I trying to organize myself so I can have it in order.
Okay, perfect.
That will happen to me again, yeah.
Okay, very good, very good. Thank you for that. Anybody else who's got a different perspective wants to share? I'll take one more before we do an activity. Okay, going. Floria Hunt, Junior Batleys.
Okay. Hi, good night.
Hi, good night.
Okay, well, most of the persons are in agro processing, but I happen to be in the farming business. I recently started a 5-acre farm. So
5 acres, good.
Yes. So I am still fresh in the business, but I'm hoping to make it out there. As it is with records and finances, well, I have a finance background per se, well, quantity surveying background. So I record everything in Google.
Oh, you're a
Docs.
recorder.
Yes, I'm a recorder. So I do projections, I do expenses and
Okay.
yeah, but I'm hoping to learn something new so that I can use. And as you say, when you diversify into different products, try to see which products would be better,
Yes.
produce
Yeah,
would be
for
better.
produce, yeah.
So I'm
So
hoping to learn that one.
what produce do you focus on?
Well, for now, it would be sweet potato, plantains, bananas. We're hoping to do some fast crops, but the wet season is approaching, so we'll have to take a back step on that one for now until we do have a greenhouse.
Okay. So I do like the fact that you have sweet potato and you have like, I mean, you have a lot of the hard crops, root crops in there because what I guess your open field, you have to start thinking about resilience. Remember, reflect on what you did in sustainable agriculture. Sometimes your financial decision makings have to center around also how you can mitigate your risks. So
Yeah.
especially when you're in a farm enterprise and you are doing horticulture products, it is very critical that you sort of diversify even in your crops. Because if there was, God forbid, a flood, a hurricane, something, you do need to have some crops that are resistant to some of these disasters. So you have to factor in climate risk as well, and this goes for everybody, even agro processors. You have to factor in climate risk as a key factor in terms of how you diversify. For those who are in agro processing, I hear you when it comes to your raw materials, when it comes to even getting the supplies sometimes. So you have to make sure as part of your planning and decision making, you factor in those type of risks and mitigate. So something like sweet potato is a root crop. So if we unfortunately had something like a hurricane, most likely to be one of those crops that would be resilient. So, and this is something that I want all of you to think about very carefully because it does have an impact on your, you know, your income coming in, your revenues coming in, as well as your financial health and wealth. I don't know if it's something you
Thank
have
you.
ever really thought about specifically, but I will probably share a few tips for the financial decision making on that. Okay, last
Thank you.
person, you're welcome. Good. Let's see. Cheryl Lochter. Cheryl, you're with us?
Hi.
I'm looking for Cheryl. Cheryl is with
Oh,
us?
Cheryl, sorry.
Okay, on to the next. Agatha Gerald. I hope people aren't just
Hello.
logging in, you know. Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Go
I'm
ahead.
Agatha Gerald. Yes, good evening to everyone. Well, I
Evening.
don't have a business. I'm not into a business. What I do is that I do my own home grown backyard garden, my family, and I visit the farmers market on schedule every month end. And basically that's it for me. I'm not into a large farm or anything like that. Although my husband do have a farm, but I don't, I'm not really involved in it.
Okay. And in terms of any challenges from a financial standpoint?
Well, it's not really. I don't have any because I'm not into anything that I need to purchase.
Okay.
I get stuff from the things that I buy from the market, sometimes farmers market, sometimes some of the ladies, they're very nice. They tell me certain things I can do to improve on my plans, and I've learned a lot from the sessions. So this is it for me.
Okay, cool. And do you see yourself, how do I put it? What sort of financial goals do you have for yourself? And in terms of, do you want to, since you're not necessarily business focused, do you have any goals for wealth building or anything like that? Do you have any specific goals? How do you do your goal setting and planning around finances?
Well, for now, I'm a retiree. I worked for over 30 years at a business place, and
Okay,
right now I'm
you're relaxing.
I'm relaxing. I'm taking life easy and doing the things that I love to do around my home and in my home, my family.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay, perfect. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
So we're going to take it, let's see, it's 7, we have an hour. I want to change the tone now. We're gonna do something a little interactive before I land on slides, really. I wanted us to kind of break the ice, talk openly about financial decision making. It's also an opportunity to know which areas, because we're dealing with a lot of many different aspects when you're dealing with financial literacy. And I want to make sure that I'm covering areas that are practical, that are actionable, that you can deploy almost immediately, while we're also addressing some of the elements that can impact our financial health. Even if you don't have a business, let's face it, finance cuts across everything we do. So it's 7 o'clock on the dot. Yes, you can give me co-host now. Let's take a 3-minute break. And when I come in, we're going to, okay, no, let's revisit. We're going to take a little break, but I'm going to share with you a quiz, which I want all of us to try, okay? And when I come back, I will be sharing the quiz with you, and I want to get your feedback. And we're going to co-create the quiz together so we could see the outputs, because we're going to have a discussion about financial habits, things that we can do to kind of change, looking at our financial behaviors and how these financial behaviors impact our decision making. So I'm dropping the quiz in the chat. Second. Okay, thank you. And I'm going to pull it up now. Okay, so I dropped it in the chat. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, so there are many different ways of analyzing our behaviors. Because ultimately, when we talk about money, when we talk about anything to do with money, at the end of the day, money is emotional, or our reactions to money happens on an emotional level. So understanding our behaviors, or our emotional behaviors, and our personality is very critical in understanding how we can be more aware of certain things and how to change some of our habits. Now, there is no, I wouldn't say there isn't a bad personality, because all of it's in moderation, right? You can have someone that is a stockpiler. That's my sister. She stockpiles and stockpiles and stockpiles. She knows how to save for a rainy day, but the only problem is she will save, but it stops right there. She's saving, she's not putting the money to work, and at the end of the day, even when the rainy day doesn't come, the money is not put to work. Maybe you're an idealist, okay? You're very creative, you know, you just take things for granted and you're not really on, because you're an idealist, you don't really take the time to document things and keep your records. So understanding if you have that personality type, there's some things you have to work on in order to strike a balance. So like I said, there's nothing wrong with being an innovator and being idealist, but with all these personality types, there needs to be a balance. So if you're an extreme type, at least understanding your personality type and how you react to money and finances on an emotional level can help you start to modify your behavior. So in the past, I would say in the last 10 to 15 years, the field of financial literacy has actually evolved significantly. And what we realize is it starts off with mindset and behavior. Because at the end of the day, how we see money and that money story is different from everybody, right? So here we have 6 personalities. Now, there are many other types of personality tests. So there isn't like one better than the other and over the other. I kind of like this one, even though there may be 1 or 2 questions that are perhaps a bit US focused. So if I were to kind of emulate it, I'll skip some questions, but that's fine. It can still be applied to us. So here we have the idealist, the stockpiler, the hedonist. Hedonist knows how to enjoy life, money not going to get in the way of their freedom. They love to spend. They probably love shopping. You have the celebrity. I had a business partner that was, you could say, that personality type. And it could be challenging because they want to spend more than they're earning. Okay. So you have to kind of control certain things. You have the nurturer, which a lot of us are. What was the first person that spoke? What did she say? She said, okay, her father has a farm, but she realized in the area of their children, but then she also, there was something I figured, she had that nurturing came out very early, even before she mentioned it. And some of us, for us, we just prefer to give it all away. This is why a lot of us are sitting down, doing 5, 6, 7 things, volunteering here and there, because we have this nurturing nature. And then, of course, you have the conqueror. Making money comes naturally to them, but sometimes they could be a bit extreme and a bit tight-fisted. So these are the 6 money personality types. It takes about 10 minutes. So I'm going to ask you to click and start the quiz. And then I'm going to do, when we come back in 10 minutes, we're going to go through the quiz and we're going to compare and have a conversation. Okay. So 10 minutes starting now. Okay. Probably might take the quiz myself too. Let's see. So questions are very simple, non-assuming, answer as honestly as it comes. This is not a final exam or anything. What comes naturally, answer it honestly and truthfully. And let's see. So and some of the questions are whimsical, right? So this one, do you check your bank balance? Either you check it regularly or you don't check it at all, like, you know. And how does spending money make you feel? Remember I said everything we do is emotional? Some people, spending money hurts. Other people, they're happy to spend. Actually, it'll take less than 10 minutes because the questions are very short. Any question on the 401k? That's more related to the US market. In our context, in St. Lucia and the Eastern Caribbean, we're more looking at our savings. So in the United States, one of the things that they have done that I think is quite useful over our region is that they take financial literacy very serious, and as early as part of the institution, they think about saving. So in our context, we're really looking at social security, national insurance programs. That's pretty much to the extent with which government, puts something aside. But in the US, you actually, when you're working outside of your normal contribution to Social Security and National Security, you actually put a contribution that goes into a special fund that goes towards your pension or goes towards your future expenses. So, and normally in this regard, they invest the fund because as we will discuss over the next couple sessions we have together, one of the things we do not do in our region is invest. And investment is very important to grow your wealth. So even if you're not coming in with a load of money, there's certain things we can do in this space to actually grow our funds. Just understanding where the risks are is something we need to know. So when it says, let's talk about your 401k, they really mean your investment fund that you put aside. So if you have like a little, whether it's an accumulator program, some of us are members of credit unions, etc. Do you talk about it? You don't talk about it. So when you finish, just type in Y for yes in the chat so I can see how many people. Louis already said she's a stockpiler. Okay, good. And my birthday is coming up soon. So here's some key questions. You're always spending money to, there's some people who spend money to impress people because their personality type, for them, you know, spending money kind of gives them sort of acceptance. And oh, this is a big one. What's your money motto? So we'll have a conversation around this. How do other people, third parties, influence your decisions? Okay. You see, Cheryl said she's always using money to take care of others, not herself. And a lot of us do that. We're nurturers. And I can tell you, I do this money personality every six months because it's almost like a test for me. Every time I pick up a behavior, I start to work on it and check. So I am evolving. I could tell you maybe 10 years ago, in my 20s, when I was in St. Vincent, I would call myself the nurturer, 100%. And that's just my nature, always giving. I love development work. It's a passion. And the fact that I'm even here, it's like, you know, someone asked me, are you getting paid for this? I'm like, oh, a stipend. But it's because I am passionate about development. I'm passionate about capacity building. I'm passionate about people in private sector growing their funds, growing their businesses and being able to grow. It generally makes me happy. So for me, that passion sometimes drives a lot of that. And it comes from a very nurturing perspective. Over the years, I've had to learn how to tame it. Yes, I'm a nurturer, but yes, I know my worth, I know my value, and sometimes I do need to exchange this value to get this tool called money. So a lot of times people forget that. And I can tell you from my personal experience, especially when I was younger, you know, I got money and I would give it away. You know, for whatever reason, I think it always was, for me, was not necessarily that money was a root of all evil, not really, but I just thought it was a tool to help everyone, right? Without realizing, well, if I can't help myself first, I can't help anybody. So how many people are done? Let me know who's not done. We have hedonist, okay. Conqueror, idealist, cool. Perfect. I'm just answering it randomly at this point. Nurturer, nurturer. Oh, we have a lot of nurturers in the call. Nurturer. Yeah, I was a bit random. But oh look, conqueror. Okay, I've evolved a little bit. Hedonist. Okay, so while we're waiting for other people, let's get Anya said she's hedonist. Who else is hedonist up in here? Okay. Anya, Sylvina. How many hedonists? How many people got hedonists? Okay, so the hedonists, let's start with those who got hedonists. Can you unmute and share what, could someone share in the group what the superpower of the hedonist is? And first of all, rank your experience. How close did this come with your actual personality? Let's have a reflection.
I got the hedonist,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like it really applies to me, to my personality.
Mm-hmm.
The superpower of the hedonist says you can instantly turn money into joy.
You can what?
Instantly turn money into joy.
Into joy. Okay.
Yes.
What are some of the things you do from that perspective that resonates with you?
Well, first off, I don't depend on money to bring me joy, but I believe in appreciating money. When if people give me money folded, I say to them, don't hold the money, treat it with love, because when you love it, it comes back to you.
Okay. So you have
Yeah.
a positive outlook. Okay.
When it comes to money. So I feel that if I have to be happy with or without it. So if I'm
Okay.
happy without it, if I'm happy with it, it will come back to me because I treat it well. So
So for
yeah.
you, how do you see it for you? How do you see money? What is money to you?
I see it as it has its place in life. It's essential. I mean, to have certain to be certain um to be certain places that you want to be in life, you need money. um I don't think there's anything evil or anything wrong
Okay.
about money or about having money. It's just a material. It's just something that you
It's
need to get around.
It's a tool. It's a tool.
It's just a tool. Yeah, it's just a tool that you need to get around. And the same way, you love your clothes and you love your shoes and you love your hair and you love yourself and you love everything that you do. You love money just the same. You don't allow it to dictate or control your life, that it is just a tool that you make, that you bring, that you attract, that you. So whether you have it or not, you should be good, because as I said, I don't think you need money to make you happy, but money could get you things that will contribute to your happiness. So yeah, my outlook towards money is very, very positive. Yeah.
Okay. And what's your money nightmare? Who else got hedonist? What's the nightmare?
You want me to read it?
Oh, you can read it.
Okay, it says all discretionary spending power is taken away from you. Though you have plenty of money, it can only be used for the bare essentials. I don't even think that's a nightmare, because I think I've passed that nightmare.
You're
I've already
past
learned
that.
that.
You've
I've
learned
already
that.
learned that, so it's not even a nightmare anymore.
Okay. Anya,
Yeah.
what about you? How close is this to you? And do you resonate with that nightmare? So the big word discretionary, discretionary, it's a bit of a big word, but it just means that your expenses, it just means that you can do certain expenses at will. So it's at your own discretion, meaning you have the ability to do it whenever. So like when you're going shopping, you have the freedom to buy if you want the whole thing. Sylvina, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Tilly. I was just waiting for you to finish.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I am a bit confused about the explanation of the nightmare. It says all discretionary spending power is taken away from you. So that means you're willing to spend on whatever, right?
No, when you have the discretion to spend, it means you have the power to spend whatever. Okay. So your personal nightmare is not being able to spend when you want. Okay. So let's just say, assuming, say every month you get like a little 3,000, 4,000 EC. Okay. And something were to happen, let's just say a job setting, you get it from your employment, and we have another pandemic, God forbid, knock wood, but for whatever reason, you get laid off or what they call furloughed. They tell you, okay, go stay home for a good 6 months. You don't have that money coming in, right? And so your worst nightmare is now not being able to spend on things you really want to, because now you have to tighten your belt. And it could be you have money coming in from the farm, money coming in from agro-processing and so on, but you don't necessarily have enough. And because, you're a hedonist, for you, you use it as a tool. You always aren't, you basically control the tool, but your nightmare is in the event you don't have it, right? It means that there's certain things you're accustomed to buying that gives you comfort that you're not going to be able to do that. So the big word discretionary means you don't have that, your own discretion to do it. It's as though someone has put a belt on it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why sometimes these surveys, again, sometimes words can give you big cognitive friction. So if there is a word that is hard, let me know and I break it down for you.
I just misread something. I think it is pretty accurate for me because even when we go down to the part about what money means to you in childhood, it does come very close to home. But I do believe that, if you're gonna work hard and make money, then you should exchange it for something you value. And for me, that is experiences. But even one of the questions they asked, if you were going to upgrade to first class, what would you do? And I chose the point where I would trade in my air miles because of the way I see money. I'm also strategic on how I help that tool gain interest. So one of my credit cards, I only have it to build up air miles, and then that's why I put it as that. So if there is an opportunity, and there was one trip that I took once, it was to New Zealand. It was typically 1,500 US, and my miles brought it down to 100 US for a trip out from St. Lucia to New Zealand.
You hear that, ladies?
So
it's strategic.
Yeah, you have to. I think the banks hate me as a credit card customer because I use credit cards, so I end up better, not worse. So it definitely is accurate for me. And that would be a nightmare for me because I do love to have the cash to exchange for experiences, and that is like my reward for.
That's your reward for being good.
Play hard,
yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I find the hedonist a very interesting personality. Your financial decision making is definitely very strategic. That's what I find with hedonist.
But it's not food.
It is. But I mean, that's insightful. See, ladies, if we don't have a conversation about money, how would you know you have someone in the group that really knows how to hack? And I'll use the word hack as in solve the problem of credit cards, because it's not something to fear, it's a tool. So this is actually quite good because if you guys want, you could probably have Helen Daughters offer the money conversations on a monthly basis. It's really critical. You will learn a lot from each other.
Yeah, I have learned a lot.
Okay, and who else? Last person, because you see, it also links to our experiences in childhood. We all have a different money story. There was that money. How do you see money? Is it the root of all evil? Or, we have these things that unfortunately we hear our grandparents, our grandmothers, our mothers talk about this all the time. And sometimes we emulate certain behaviors, right? So in the next session, I'll just show you a little bit of what we call a genogram as a tool that you can use to help you map out and just reflect on your upbringing, how you grew up, the family members around you, and some of the things that you've picked, because we pick habits based on what we have seen and what we have experienced as well. So this is why you have that section about childhood. Okay. Okay, so next one. Let's see, who else? Okay, we have lots of nurturers, so let's have a conversation about the nurturer. Who wants to lead on that? We have Elsa, Cheryl, Roycelyn. Okay, Cheryl, raise her hand. All right, floor is yours, Cheryl.
Good night.
Good night.
I'm guilty of being a nurturer, very, very guilty of that. I think it's a situation that has a lot to do with your heart. You care, and people, you believe someone has a genuine need and they come to you for assistance. So if you have the means to provide for them, you would do it. And sometimes I feel, well, okay, you know what? I'm happy this person came to me because it's going to remain here as opposed to going to someone else. Spread it all over.
Right. Yeah.
But what happens with nurturers, and I think it's only now I'm learning that people take advantage of that. So now I'm really learning how to detect it. Now at this stage in my life where I am learning how to try to say no.
No, the big word, no.
I'm trying to say it. I can't say it yet. I'm trying to say it. But for me, about money now, I don't let it worry me. For instance, I believe in working on a budget, going to the supermarket with a list, something can attract me. I just cast a blind eye. I think I've gotten worse since COVID. I have a motto. I say money doesn't make me, I make it, I'm not unhappy if I don't have it. There are things that can't be done, maybe things I have to put up, but then that's okay. Money definitely is important. It is a means of to an end. It's a means of survival, whether we want to accept it or not. It is a means of survival. And, you need it. You have to take care of bills. You have things to do. On the evil note, I don't think money is evil. I think it can be used to do a lot of evil deeds.
Right.
Money definitely makes the world go round. It is something that's essential. It supplies our basic needs. Some people see it as a means to an end, a means to financial freedom. Other people see it as security. It is important, but what's important to me now is what should be important to us is how we go about spending the money, especially now, and especially since COVID, when things have gotten really tight, that you really, really have to budget every dollar to the T. And I'm at a stage where if you give me $1,000, you give me $5, you give me $100, I can tell you everything I did with that. Every single thing.
Very good. Very good.
So it's not a bad thing. It's good to have. Another thing I would encourage as much as possible, especially for the nurturers, you have to save. Try your best to save $10 out of that 100 if you can, and say no. From what I'm understanding, say no. Say no, really. When you say no, the yes part of it goes into your savings account.
Yes, I like that. When you say no, the yes part goes into your savings account.
I'm learning how to say no, and I'm learning how to spell it now.
Very good.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Okay, we had lots of nurturers. Let's see, someone who hasn't spoken before. Valine and Venus, can you weigh in?
Hi, good night.
Good night.
Yeah, most of those things that I read a while ago definitely apply to me. Definitely can be true. A lot of it has to do with your childhood, like being difficult, finances, having to work very hard from very early in life. Myself, I've started working since I was 14 years of age to help provide for myself, being an eldest child, and then having to take care of my siblings. Because things in the home wasn't always what's supposed to be parent wise.
Yeah.
So definitely have been the neutral. I always leave myself behind for people.
Always leave yourself behind.
Always. And of late, approaching 50, I've decided I'm going through so much sometimes because of disappointments. I reach a point where I'm starting to say no. I'm trying to say no. Sometimes it hurts me. I sit back, you really should not have told that person no. Maybe they really needed your help. But then you figure sometimes people you're always so giving that people would walk over you. So I reach a point where it's like an automatic no. And then I stop myself. I could have helped. I said no. I need to start putting some interest back in myself. Because sometimes people take, you become drained and you don't have anything to give back. So I'm trying now to start to say, I'm going to be 50, I'm going to be a different person. I'm going to have to start taking care of me. So financially, I keep working on different little projects and stuff to gain that financial strength that I need. So going through all of this is just putting me in a mindset that I need to achieve certain goals. So now I'm setting that for myself. I would like to have a business. I'd like to have my business up and running soon, instead of just sitting down waiting paycheck to paycheck. That's why I'm part of this group, so I can do something different. And more ideas are coming, and I'm really working on it. But being a nurturer, it has its advantages, but then most time you're the disadvantage. You disadvantage yourself for others. So it's definitely me, 100%.
There, like you said, there are positives and there are negatives of being a nurturer. And the most important thing is to look at the positives, embrace those, and see how you can increase and optimize it. And then look at the negatives and see how you can work on it. And again, remember, it's really about our behavior. So it means we have to then really start looking at creating new habits, and it doesn't happen overnight. I struggle with saying no. And even sometimes I feel so bad afterwards, like really, really bad. I feel guilty, like I owe them something. But you know what? No, because the way I see it, if I don't empower myself, how am I going to really amplify what I can contribute?
Yeah.
So, everyone has stories. We're all human beings. And people will come and tell you their sub stories, but sometimes I'm like, I'm saying no now because I know what I'm building. And once I've built what I'm building, I know how to give back you have to say no and not feel ashamed, not feel bad. And it all has to do with the upbringing. So in my case, I grew up in different countries. I was actually born in Ethiopia. My parents were diplomats. And it's a case whereby we have a very, should I say, cosmopolitan family all over the place, different countries and so on, and different experiences. And then you also have my African heritage side of it, filtering into the training. And of course, this is like they tell you, oh, you're not supposed to do this, you're not supposed to do that, you're supposed to be, you know, as a female, you're not really supposed to own any assets. I mean, it's it even though we're modern, subliminally, some of these messages go in. So I never, you know, as a child, yes, we're comfortable, but did I have that vision or aspiration of having my own home? No, because I remember hearing someone say, oh, you know, the girls don't necessarily need assets. It's the guys who need assets, you know? So things like that go into your subconscious as a child and you grow with it. And it does impact on how you're, you know, you do things without you knowing. But once you start doing these tests and you start to reflect, then you start to realize, this is my personality and this is the particular behavior that I need to start working on. And then you start to put a plan and try and change your habit every day, every day. After you do it a few times, it starts becoming a habit.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see
Okay.
the chat, how the chat's going. Ladies, monkey know which tree to climb. Fill up your cup first. What is the cup is yours, what overflows is others. Amen. Yes, that is true. What's in my cup stays in my cup. We're gonna start singing now. Okay, we had nurturers. Who else wants to weigh in on nurturers? What is the biggest nightmare? What's your big nightmare as a nurturer? Deborah? Allison? Rhonda? Wow, we have a lot of nurturers in this group. I hope we're going to save this chat, huh? Because I want to double check this when we're ending. Always easy to spend on your sibling. Cattle? Don't be afraid. Open your mic. Alvinette?
Hello.
Alex? Hi.
Hi. Well, for me, it's when I am asked to help, especially with my family circle, and at the time I don't have the means of helping.
Okay.
And that would be the hardest for me. And I say to myself, oh, how I wish I could help.
Okay. So again, you struggle with not being able to assist.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Okay. All right. So for those people who did nurture, do you agree? It captures your personality because this is what you call a psychometric test. So it's proven, it's studied, it does capture the way. Once you answer it truthfully, yeah, it does. And have you seen and identified or started to look at some of the behaviors? You should start yes, you said it, yes, it read me like a book. Yeah, so there are some clues to some of the behaviors that you should change. In the next session, we're going to look specifically at some behaviors. And this particular one deals with the 6 personalities. They have other types. There are other ones that probably look at how you spend versus if you're a spender, if you're, if you prioritize safety and security, and so on. Okay. Perfect. So let's see which personality type we haven't touched on. The idealist. Did we touch on the idealist? No. Yes, let's do the idealist. Roxanne Maturin, Nadia Anatole. Idealist, anyone? Who's presenting for Idealist? Roycelyn said, I'm a nurturer. Feels like that default is a major disadvantage. Listen, don't feel down or put yourself down. There are benefits for being a nurturer. Okay? It's just that we just have to identify those traits that put us at a disadvantage in terms of the giving. And the biggest thing, as we identify, is being able to say no, putting yourself first, paying yourself first. And I'll come into the next session, we talk about how you pay yourself first, okay? In a very practical sense. Looking at investing, looking at how you can allocate things for yourself. It's just a matter of knowing what it is and knowing how you can make that change. All right, ladies, idealists. Sylvia Hippolyte, Madam Hippolyte. Cheryl, your hands up. Cheryl, is that you? Okay, we have Lucia and, okay, Lucia, go ahead. Roxanne on mute, Lucia on mute, and Cheryl on mute. Let me hear you three.
Hello?
Hello, go ahead, Lucia.
Mine came up as a conqueror.
Okay.
But I was trying to figure out what made me a conqueror. But but
you're like me.
Okay, so whilst you were speaking and going through the different personalities, I tried to figure out probably why did it identify me as a conqueror?
A conqueror.
And for me, probably what I would say, probably why I came up with that. I often find myself with a lot of ideas, especially business ideas as to little things that I can do, or probably somebody has an idea and I feel that I can better that idea and turn it into my own. But it feels like almost like you're blessed with trying to change things and change ideas and create things. But since you get frustrated with actually having so many of the ideas that you cannot narrow down into one and be strategic and narrow down into one and make it your own. Like, I'm going to stick with this. This is a business that I want to create or an idea that I want to create. So it just creates frustration across the board, and you feel that you just don't do anything with it.
Okay.
So
all right.
Most persons will probably look at you like, you are so skilled, you are so blessed with this, and you are so skilled in this area. And they look at you almost like, wow, you are doing so well. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
So you're hard on yourself.
Yes, that's what happens.
Yeah.
So it just creates frustration and I just don't do anything with it. This is the point that I'm at.
Look at the money nightmare. You overlooked a deal that would have made you a billionaire and you have no one to blame but yourself. You're your own worst enemy. That is
yes, I saw that.
That is so true.
So that's one of the things I ask myself. If you have so many ideas, how do you brush off all the other ideas that are coming, or you need to find a strategic way to use all these ideas and then create something with it?
That, my dear, is a challenging question. It boils down to focus. You have to be able to have the skill sets to prioritize. So you take your ideas and you rank them. You have to create some sort of, you have to identify some criteria that you're going to measure, and then you rank them. And then when you rank them, you pick 1, 2, no more than that, and you stick to it and try and evaluate. And at some point, you need to know if you've tested the idea and you've gone to the market and tested in the market, and you see that maybe you give yourself some time and you keep doing trial and error, and you're seeing this is not going anywhere, at some point you need to know when you need to stop or you need to pivot. That word pivot. It's something we need to do or we learned during the pandemic. You have to shift, sometimes shift your whole business focus totally. So it's something you need to do. Like for example, I'll share a little high level story. It won't take too much of your time. So very quickly, this is not necessarily an agro enterprise. I have done a couple, but this particular engagement, I end up into a partnership. I believe in partnering to grow, because the reality is, especially if you have a very large, big vision, one person can execute the vision. You really need a collective, a team. So I had, for this particular enterprise I was doing, I had a business partner. And one of the great things we had, and we had synergies, is the innovation. Now, you heard when, in the beginning, when she was giving my bio, what did she say? Serial entrepreneur. No, I'm not a serial killer, but I am just like you, where I have lots of ideas. Sit down. I can give you 1,000,001 ideas, because at the end of the day, when I go and leave this world, it's not going to be in the graveyard. At least I know I contributed a lot. And I don't have an issue sharing, because it's not about the idea, it's about the execution. And it's taken me time over the years. Now I'm in my 40s, but I can tell you when I was younger, I probably was like you. So it just takes some time for you to identify, harness, and start to learn how to focus, because the key is in the execution, it's not in the idea. Ideas, that's why when people come and tell me, oh, I have an idea and someone stole my idea. Of course not. I'm sure 1,000,001 people thought of this very same idea. The key is how you executed it to create value. So if you focus on execution and you find you're not getting traction, and then you have to go back to the drawing board and see what you need to change and pivot. So when we do our quick session, I think, did you cover business model innovation in any of your sessions? Anyone? Let me see the chat. Yes? Well, if we didn't cover business, we didn't cover it. So I'll be covering that a little bit. And it's just the way your business creates value. It doesn't really matter what type of business it is. We're going back to the drawing board. So it's just like a blueprint. As if you're building your house, what do you have to do before you build your house? You have to draw, you have to get an architect to do the diagram and draw and map out the plans. And then you have to now put things in. So I'm going to show you that blueprint. And based on that blueprint, you now understand how this blueprint relates to how you make money, how you create value for that customer, and what you can tweak to optimize your income. So this is something we'll cover in our next session. So it's so in the case of that particular partnership, we're great at creating ideas, but when it came to execution, I had over time, I taught myself how to focus on delivery and execution. And that's something, because of my nature and personality, did not come easy. I had to focus, and I had to realize over time I made this a habit. So even now, people say, but you got lots of ideas. I'm not a pure innovator. That's why there's a difference between an innovator and an entrepreneur. I'm an innovator and an entrepreneur, and I had to learn how to now commercialize it. So I'm good at commercializing it, but unfortunately, my business partner was not. So after a while, we started having clashes. And during COVID, I had to realize, listen, even though I had sunk in 6 years, mind you, I had my other consulting and other things I'm doing, but 6 years into this big thing, I had to make a decision and say, well, listen, this is not, we're never going to commercialize anything. And I'm not here to build just a research and development lab, you know? So that went, and as soon as that went, immediately I did what you call a pivot, 360 degrees, and I ended up applying what I was doing in that business to another partnership with the private bank. So now I'm able to do and I carved out a niche with my engagement in the private bank where I'm like, I'm not coming in as an employee, I'm coming in as a partner. So those type of things. So I was able to pivot, but you have to learn when to say, okay, I've tested it, and this is where data comes in. You have customers, you not have customers, you've tried it 6 months, you've tried so many different experiments, it just ain't working. Even if you're passionate about it, it's just not going to work. Just like our products. You find your favorite product is not the product that would do well because you're doing a product for you or you're doing a product for your market. Yeah. So those are the key things you need to kind of focus on. Again, this resonates for me. You grow up, you're seeing your child, your parents successful, mostly in professional fields, right? And this may have also been an environment where vulnerability and showing emotions were discouraged, right? And this is 100% true in my case. So again, knowing this, you understand how to now start making changes with your habits. So there are 2 more we're going to take. Wow, the time is almost done. So someone had stockpiler. I want to hear from the stockpiler, and I want to hear one from an idealist. So raise hands, stockpiler. Oh, Cheryl has her hands up long time. Cheryl? Mitra? Okay, so we'll do Cheryl and then Mitra.
I'm sorry, I did not have another question. I didn't realize.
Okay. Okay, so Mitra, the floor is yours.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening. How are you?
I am good. I got the idealist.
Wow. So tell me, is it on point or halfway or?
A bit on point. Okay, so it says you're aware that money is necessary part of life, but you'd rather not get bogged down with it. That's accurate.
Yeah.
And I pride myself in not being, you'd rather be surrounded by people you love than conform to the rat race of the corporate world. And that is very true.
You're creative.
Beg your pardon?
You're creative?
Yes, I am. And I think it shows up in my life because with my family, we've been living off grid for about 10 years now. So we rain harvest, we use solar for our electricity, just so that money does not come into a place where it prevents us from being creative and exploring and doing all of that stuff. So it minimizes our bills and our need for money so that when we actually make money, we can invest it in the things that really matter to us. So I'd say it's very accurate. And my view on money is supposed to be used for a purpose. Money was made for spending and to use to accomplish a goal.
Yes.
Not something to be afraid of. It's a tool to be used for an outcome.
For an outcome.
Yeah. So when it pertains to renegotiating your salary and justifying every penny, I believe I supposed to be fairly compensated for what I produce.
Okay.
And being in a space where, well, I'm in two spaces, in one in construction, one in farming. You have to be paid for your value. And sometimes it's very difficult for persons to see your value off the bat.
Yes.
But it's good to, that's where your marketing comes in. So they understand what they're getting. They're not just getting a surface product. They're getting a whole wider range of things.
Yes, indeed. And your messaging and all of that.
Yeah.
It's a factor. Yeah.
So you get the individual as a brand. As it pertains to my business, I would agree with someone else when she speaks of sometimes you have so much going on.
Yeah.
And you don't know which idea or which aspect to focus on. And what I have found is, because the goal is never the money, and the goal is always family, relationships, friends, exploring, creativity, and growing and learning. Since that is the goal, the money aspect, it always fits into which idea or which product will help me to realize all of those avenues and still make money. So for example, with my farm, my organic farm, my family is involved. So the children are helping to plant. They have their own ideas. They have their own business ideas of what they want to do with the produce and what they want to experiment on. And maybe this could be a product that we can sell. And they go out and sell, whether it be our honey bites or our mangoes. And they come back and say, hey, mommy, I was able to do this much in sales. What if we add this to this and that to that? So it's when you incorporate the people that you love in your business, in the ideas, the money is just one of the things that come out after, and it's not necessarily the main purpose.
Okay, very, very good. Oh, I have my dog children. Yes, sorry about that. That's a very insightful and a very different perspective. Then let's look at Talia. Can you speak? You're a stockpiler. That will cover all 6 personalities.
Hi, good evening. I have a splitting headache, but I will try my best.
Okay, well, we're almost at the hour, so let's hear from you and then we can wrap.
What resonated with me as a stockpiler in terms of saving money for rainy days? Well, for me, I do not like to be without. So when it comes to the rainy days, I just don't like to be without. I always like to be prepared, basically. But I also actually saw that part of the conqueror is also me, because I always see an opportunity to make money. So it's so yeah, I always get an idea how to, that is me, how to flip something, buy it, retail it for a better price or something like that, or change something that is already on the market and make it more innovative or something like that. So that's just
correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying that, well, in terms of me for my business, as part of the conqueror, you see, I'm into so many different things that I'm trying to figure out which one is actually really my passion, because I'm into planting, I'm into agriculture, I'm into agro processing, I'm into the retail. So I'm just trying to figure out which one is the best for me. Right?
Okay. But I mean, there's, like I said, research and development, there's nothing wrong with it, but you have to make sure you go, get out the building, test it, make sure you get feedback, because people will give you feedback all the time, and make sure you capture it. And then based on that, you tweak. So it is a journey.
Yes,
when you're starting the business, and it doesn't really matter. People look at it, oh, well, it's agriculture. Agriculture what? If you're running it as a business, it's a journey, and you have to know, because you will understand and start identifying different customer segments that have very specific and particular needs that you can cater for. So that's very insightful. So I think we covered all 6 personalities. You see this personality here? Winning was a way to earn love and respect. That's just me. And so they evolved to a lifelong habit of trying to get ahead, far ahead. I'm always ahead of the curve. Not on one side, I see opportunities ahead of anybody else. I'm always 5, 10 years ahead of people. So at the time when I did my e-governance, nobody knew what that was. I remember going to the bank to get a loan, and they told me it's what, electronic? What am I doing, electronics? I said, no, it's not electronics. So that was like years before we started doing digital and so on. So that's just been me, but then also I'm a high achiever. It's good for some things, but sometimes it could be a double-edged sword. So finding a balance between some of the behaviors is very important. So review, analyze, try this again, try it with your family members, and start to then, it serves as a point for you to start having that critical conversations, even starting off with exactly what has happened in my childhood that I have just overlooked, that I have developed this habit, because we're creatures of experience. And believe me, some of our responses and reactions on the emotional level does happen in our childhood, and it shapes to our behavior today. And that could impact how you are managing and making the decisions about money, which is very critical. So, how do you like this session? Was it a nice icebreaker?
Was great.
Different. Different. So we are on time. So I'm just gonna perhaps just open one slide to end it, and to prepare for our next session. See, really quickly. We'll talk about what we're worth here, but let me just start from here. Wait. Okay, let's open this. I can't see the okay. Can you see my screen? Trying to see how I could present. Oh, slideshow, sorry. I haven't touched this for a while. So I'm pretty much going to end, but I want us to really think about our habits. Think about when you're either going to spend money or make a financial decision, no matter what that is, whether it's spending money or even doing something with other people. One of the things I want you to focus on is try and identify how you feel, because like I said, when we actually purchase, and when your customers purchase, they do so based on an emotions, and that can be mapped on our brains. What sensation were you feeling when something happened? Were you feeling fear? Were you feeling something positive? And when you start reflecting on how you felt, first and foremost, you can start saying, okay, I need to actually change, because sometimes the habit forms subconsciously. Some experience would have happened, a life experience would have happened that caused you a lot of fear, caused you a lot of anxiety. And as a result, your system built in, and you created this behavior that for you sort of protected you, but it ended up being a negative habit. Like, for instance, if you get stressed, some of us are emotional shoppers, right? We just have Vex money and we gone shopping and it makes us feel good, right? And it's all linked to our emotions, but we never really drill down to start saying, okay, something happens, this is how I feel, and then I feel safe because of this or something else. So I want us to kind of reflect on our thoughts, the meanings, our experiences, most importantly, and kind of before our next session, sort of reflect more on your money story and what influenced your money story and what habits or what behavior patterns you do need to change, that you need to put a roadmap. Because ultimately, we're talking about something that seems very simple, but when it comes to making a judgment call about financial management, it all comes back to our decision making. And if our decision making is flawed based on our personality and based on our negative experiences, I guarantee you, no matter what you do, even if you have record keeping, you still never find where that money went to, because it's all embedded in a habit. So this is first lesson, understanding our money mindset and understanding that our emotions and our mindsets need to change and how to change them to impact our financial decisions. So it's 8 o'clock now. I don't want to take any more of your time. I think what I would encourage you, if you did that session, save that link and kind of review your assessment. If you didn't think it really matched, when you're quiet by yourself, go through those questions again, because it is what you call a psychometric test, and it really does capture exactly how our personalities are to the T. We're not saying that today you implementing something, it won't change. It does evolve. So I've captured a lot of the challenges for those persons who were able to share. And if you have any other challenges that you do want to share ahead of time, do let me know so that when we have our next session, I can get right into it and give you things that are appropriate. The fact of the matter is we're all at different levels here. Some are savvy, some are less savvy, but you know what? There's always something you can learn. So I look forward to the next session, where this time I will have the PowerPoint and bore you a bit with the slide. So any questions? I open the floor for questions. Reactions? Can I get a pulse? Are we still alive? Hungry? Ladies, any questions? Are we good? All right, you're welcome, you're welcome. Venus, you had a question?
No, I was just saying it was a good session. Thoroughly enjoyed. I'm totally refocused right now. So it was well done.
Thank you.
Yes.
So I hope, like, we go into the next session, you're not going to shut down on me on dealing with money or finances.
Not at all.
All right. Okay, so just remember, it is a tool, and we're now going to give you some tools on how to manage this tool. Anya, you have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering if in the PowerPoints you outline a bit of the financial lingo and like a summary definition for things like balance sheets and profit and loss. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you.
I mean, I know you were given a manual, which is like a general manual, because of the nature of, and I know 3-4 sessions is really not enough to cover. We could dedicate a whole academy for financial things. So I actually have an additional manual I'll give you as well.
May I ask something, please?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
May I say something, please?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, can someone fall in more than one category? It's true, yes, you have a lot, most of the questions that are answered makes you, it summarizes and tells you that you were nurturer or what, but certain qualities of a person can fall into a different category.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can have more than 2.
More than 2. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's the most important thing is knowing the value, knowing exactly what areas. I think it's just useful to know what your personality is like. You might have there's some positives, there's some negatives. Once we understand what the negatives are, then we can now work towards the positive. Again, just like record keeping, it's all about data. If we don't have insights, how are you going to change? So this is a way of uncovering insights by actually doing something to keep us focused, because these, normally we just do these things without even reflecting. So this exercise helps us reflect, uncover, and start to trace and say, okay, where did this behavior come from? You look at your mother, you look at your father, and look at their behavior and say, oh, so I developed this in response to their reaction. Okay, so you know where it came from and you know what you have to change. And they're probably not aware, So indeed.
Great, because I'm a
Allison,
nurturer and I'm multi-talented, so I
Yes.
consider myself a conqueror, but thank you.
yes, but also know what the challenges of the conqueror is and try and make sure it's about striking a balance. None of those personalities are bad in any shape because we're all individuals and we're all different. If you're a carefree person, you're a carefree person. And sometimes you want to enjoy life, fine, but you just have to know that there's some things about your personality that might lend to maybe not taking care of the finances or maybe being overly protective of your finances. So a stockpiler, it's great. I wish I had some more stockpiling in me, but then don't stop at stockpiling. And I'll tell you, put that money to work that you're stockpiling, or else it's just money sitting there not going to work. Remember, money is a tool, and as a tool, you need to know how to manage it and control it and grow it. Just having money sit down in a bank account, not doing anything, it's not worth the salt. You're never gonna build wealth this way, So that's something you need to know. Knowing how to use credit cards. I mean, we have an expert in the group. This is where the peer learning comes in, right? Some people are fearful. Oh my God, I can't take a loan. I won't take a loan. I don't want that. But guess what? It's because you don't have the skill set or knowing how to manage, because it is a tool. It is a very strategic tool that can help you even with your business. But you have to know exactly how to use it. Yeah. Allison says, could we touch on tips for dealing with financial institutions? 100%. I can tell you that as a banker, exactly what not to, what to, and which institutions perhaps are more user-friendly for people in the agribusiness or agro-enterprise sectors as well. And also some other tips outside of that that could probably help you as well. All right, you're welcome. So if there are no questions, I am very mindful. It is now 8:17. I don't want people to stay back. I know some people have to go prepare dinner. We're all parents here, mothers, taking care of family. So I really look forward. Thank you for welcoming me. I really enjoyed my time with you. Leah says sinking funds are important. Yes, they are. I think we'll talk about that in the very next session. Things about some strategies for your funds for wealth, as well as we would kind of do a recap on this session as well. I will give you some homework tools to kind of help you. There's one called the genogram to help you map out your family history, etc. And yeah, it was a blast. I'll hand this back over to Helen's daughters, our host.
Kelly, this was a stimulating session. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for your meaningful contribution. Now that Telly has just shared some skills and knowledge that will help us to make informed and financial decisions, I hope we will use this to change some of our habits. So we will be learning a lot more in the future because Telly has, I think, 3 more sessions with us. So it's been a long day, everyone. Have a wonderful night.
Good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
All right.
Good night. Good dreams. Good night, everyone.
Bye.